President Trump is due to leave hospital in just over an hour's time after his medical team said he could return to the White House, where he'll continue treatment. Donald Trump's personal physician said he wasn't entirely out of the woods yet, but they were cautiously optimistic. Just before doctors gave their update, Donald Trump took to Twitter to tell people that he was feeling great, better than he did 20 years ago. And he said people shouldn't be afraid of coronavirus. Our North America editor, Jon Sopel, is at the White House for us now. John.
He also said, don't let it dominate your lives, despite 210,000 Americans having died from the disease. And he's also had the most expensive and experimental drugs treatment available that simply wouldn't be there for most ordinary Americans. He arrives back in an hour and a half after 3 nights in hospital, a stay that was not uncontroversial. It's being dubbed the COVID joyride. Last night, the president, who's still infectious, decided he wanted to wave to his supporters outside the Walter Reed Hospital. The 6-lane highway was cleared, Secret Service guards fanned out, and then the unmistakable sight of the presidential motorcade moving towards where we were standing. This is quite an unbelievable scene. The president, who's being treated for coronavirus, part of his convoy has just come down this busy road. All traffic has been cleared, and the president is waving at his supporters to say thank you for coming out to back him while he is meant to be in the hospital. And you can see all the vehicles of a presidential convoy accompanying the president. Donald Trump, probably the world's most impatient patient, even released a video.
It's been a very interesting journey. I learned a lot about COVID. I learned it by really going to school. This is the real school. This isn't the let's read the book school. And I get it, and I understand it.
The former reality TV star always has an eye for the visual. But the drive-by brought ferocious criticism from one of the COVID physicians at the hospital. Dr. James Phillips tweeted, "Every single person in the vehicle during that completely unnecessary presidential drive-by just now has to quarantine for 14 days. They might get sick, they may die, for political theatre, commanded by Trump to put their lives at risk for theatre. This is insanity."
And you'll see him shortly, he's back.
The president's returning to the White House tonight, though he'll still require treatment, and his doctors say he's not yet out of the woods.
We all remain cautiously optimistic and on guard because we're in a bit of uncharted territory when it comes to a patient that received the therapies he has so early in the course.
He's still on powerful steroids, but this morning it looked as though it was his Twitter feed that was on amphetamines. The campaign for next month's presidential election is all systems go as he went full caps lock on a whole variety of policy issues. Today, campaigning in Florida, the Democratic candidate Joe Biden was speaking to reporters, although his wife Jill ensuring that he maintained social distancing.
I'm sorry. I'm not an expert on it, but I think we should be very cautious, as I've thought all along, and I'm going to continue to listen to the scientists.
Meanwhile, it's been announced that the president's press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, is the latest to test positive for coronavirus. She's been speaking to reporters over the weekend, taking off her mask to discuss the president's health following his diagnosis. Astonishingly, the White House itself has become the epicenter of a major COVID outbreak. Jon Sopel, BBC News, Washington.
Well, as John was saying, the president has been given aggressive COVID treatments that doctors are calling uncharted territory. They include a cocktail of antibodies, the antiviral drug remdesivir, which he'll continue to get at the White House, and the steroid dexamethasone, which is normally used when patients become seriously ill. Here's our medical editor, Fergus Wash.
It seems the president's doctors have thrown everything they can at his infection. But getting an exact picture of his state of health hasn't been easy.
The White House says President Trump and the First Lady tested positive for coronavirus on Thursday evening. His doctor said as a precautionary measure, he was given a one-off infusion, a cocktail of monoclonal antibodies. This is an experimental treatment by biotech firm Regeneron, designed to reduce viral load. It's promising, but there's no proof it works. Clinical trials are just starting in the UK. By late Friday morning, Mr. Trump had a high fever and his oxygen saturation levels had dipped to 93%, just below the normal lower limit of 95%, and he was given oxygen for about an hour.
In my experience from looking after patients, they typically present to hospital after being unwell at home for about 5 to 7 days. It's around that sort of time that they start to need oxygen. So it's entirely possible that Donald Trump may have been unwell or had an infection in the background for a few days before he tested positive and before coming into hospital.
Later on Friday, President Trump was flown to Walter Reed Hospital. There he was given a second drug, remdesivir. This is an antiviral which was approved in May as a COVID-19 therapy. A 5-day treatment, it's been shown to speed up recovery and is used widely in the US. On Saturday, the president was started on the steroid dexamethasone. This works by dampening the body's immune system, which can go haywire with COVID-19, and it reduces inflammation in the body. It's been shown to help the sickest COVID patients, those in hospital on oxygen or a ventilator, but it's not recommended for patients with mild symptoms.
If you wanted to divide these things with a straight line down the middle, you'd say on oxygen or on a ventilator, give dexamethasone, not on oxygen, not on a ventilator, don't give dexamethasone. But that's rather more black and white than the subtlety of a one-on-one clinical conversation and decision.
COVID patients who appear to be getting better can sometimes take a turn for the worse several days into the infection, so the president's doctors won't relax until he's fully recovered. Fergus Walsh, BBC News.